30 plus years. I've seen every type of child grow up.
Instead of giving me what I wanted, she gave me what I needed, which was truth.
Don't let emotions win. Let truth win.
Do your very best, and you should have a lot of fun while you do it. And the better you get at something, the more fun you're going to have at something.
You moms and dads are wired with everything you need to be a parent to a great kid.
Welcome to Parenting Great Kids. This is episode number 40, Learning to Slow Down. I'm your host, Dr. Meg Meeker, and today I'm excited to welcome to the podcast Dove Award-winning recording artist Nichole Nordeman. Many of you may be familiar with Nichole's wonderful music, but today we're going to be talking about Nichole the mom and her brand new project she's been working on, which is her book, Slow Down, Embracing the Everyday Moments of Motherhood. Boy, do I need to hear that one. Also in this episode, I'll be featuring a listener question about dealing with a child hooked on video games and exhibiting a lot of anger. As always, I'll share my points to ponder so you can start using them right away. And parents, please remember, don't just download episodes. Click subscribe, because when you do that, you're joining my parenting revolution, and every new episode will automatically show up in your subscribed list. And we'd love for you to write us a review on iTunes and let us know what you think. Also, not only are we on iTunes, but the Parenting Great Kids podcast is also available in the Google Play Store and on Stitcher. So no matter where you get your podcasts, subscribe today and don't miss a single episode. Friends, it seems like we can't get through a news cycle without hearing another tragic story about a victim of bullying. A child who's beat up, taunted online, or in worst case scenario, has even committed suicide because he can't take the pain anymore. Bullying is more than a problem. It's an epidemic that's taking a toll on an entire generation. Something that used to be limited to the schoolyard and cafeteria is now possible to do anywhere, anytime with technology and social media. Cyberbullying is now just as common, if not more so, than face-to-face bullying. And this digital age has affected our children psychologically in ways we're only now beginning to understand. Whether the bullying occurs in the school or online, parents often feel helpless in this realm. What can you do? How do you protect your child? How do you prevent him or her from being a victim of bullying or from becoming a bully? But as a strong believer in parents, I don't think you're helpless when it comes to bullying. To help you navigate this crucial subject, I've written a special ebook, Bullying, What Every Parent Can Do About It. In this ebook, I discuss topics such as bullying at school, cyberbullying, what you can do if your child is being bullied, and what you can do if your child is the bully. To get your copy of my bullying ebook for only $2.99, go to megmeekermd.com/bullying today. And when you use coupon code BULLYINGPODCAST, I'll give you an extra $1 off. Parents, bullying is an epidemic, but it isn't hopeless. Go to megmeekermd.com/bullying and get your ebook today. So parents, thanks for listening. This is episode number 40. Stay with us. So let's dig into my points to ponder. Number 1, slow down. Seriously, make a commitment to yourself to slow down the pace of your life. You know you need to. In order to do this, you're going to need to make some changes, either in the activities that your kids are involved in or the activities work schedule that you have going on. Here's a trick that I do that I would like to encourage you to do, and it really works. Take out a calendar of your week or your month, either on your phone, on your laptop, paper, it doesn't matter. And look at every activity you're doing for yourself and for your kids, and then ask 3 questions. First, when it comes to, say, PTA, or it comes to driving your kids to soccer and to piano lessons that day, ask this: do you want to do it? Or do they want to do it? Do you have to do it? Or do you do it because you feel you should? So let's just look at your activities first. Do you do that thing because you want to, because you have to, or because you feel you should? If you answer that you feel you should, take that activity off your list. You know, Mothers are notorious for doing things because we feel we should. And nobody really cares whether we do them or not. We just feel this guilt that if we don't do it, then we're going to be letting somebody down. But I encourage you to have the courage to stop doing that. So ask yourself, am I doing it because I want to, I have to, or I feel I should? And if you feel you should, get rid of it. Number 2, take off the badge of exhaustion. Take off the badge of exhaustion. Mom, let's face it. Most mothers, whether we're working outside the home or inside the home, believe they're tougher, stronger, and more accomplished if we live so busy that we're exhausted all the time. So if you're an exhausted mom right now, ask yourself this. Why do I thrive on being exhausted? Do I feel better about myself? Do I feel like a better mom if I'm exhausted all the time? Truth of the matter is, a lot of times we do. We feel, I just work so hard and I collapse into bed every night, and we feel that we're mentally getting some emotional benefit from living so frenetically. And the truth of the matter is, this is a little backwards. I found myself doing this. The busier I am, the more exhausted I am, the more I feel like I'm contributing to the world around me. And the truth is, that's not accurate. And particularly if you have young kids at home, that's really unhealthy. To be doing so many things that make you exhausted to feel better about who you are. Stop doing it. Remember, if you have children at home, your kids don't want a mom who's exhausted because you're doing so much. They want moms who just like being with them. So quit running out the door to do a million things. Rein yourself in. Stay home a little more. Do something with your kids just for fun, even if it's only a half hour a day. And your boss doesn't need someone who can't function because you're so exhausted all the time. He or she needs someone who can think on her feet, take care of herself emotionally, mentally, and physically so that you can be there in that job for the long haul. 3, be courageous enough to live differently from your peers. Now, I know you hear this a lot, but it's very, very important. One of the best exercises I've done is ask myself why I do what I do. If I'm going to be contemplating taking on another project, even if it's a small project, writing an article, doing a radio show for somebody, I have a heart-to-heart with myself and say, why do I want to take this on? Again, do I feel like I should take it on? Do I really want to take it on? Often I do things because I think that's what women my age are supposed to do, and that's peer pressure. That is not a good reason to take that work on. So I have to tell myself no to many things, and it's critical for all women and men to do this. Why do you stay that extra half hour at work? Many times you do it because you feel like that's what your friends expect of you. That's what everybody your age does. No. Have the courage to live differently from your peers. But there may be a pushback from friends and family when you start to rein your life and your activities and even your work in. And you've got to learn to be comfortable with people not liking what you're doing, your friends or your family. The truth is, many of those people will actually be jealous of you. They may want to do exactly what you're doing, but they need someone to go first, and you can be the person they're going to follow. Number 4, trust your instincts. The truth is, you have instincts inside of you for a reason. They may stem from your thinking, the way you were trained to think as a child and trained in what to believe, but 99% of the time, your instincts protect you, and you need to listen to them. They're protective. One of my biggest frustrations working with really conscientious parents is their fear of listening to what their instinct is telling them to do when it comes to making decisions with their kids. I hear this all the time. I really don't want my child to go see that movie, but... and then on and on. And then they ask me, what should I do? Well, you just told me what you want to do. Your instinct is telling me. So let me ask you a frank question, parents who are listening to me right now. When it comes to your life today, at this moment, whatever the hour is, you're driving in your car, or you're at your home, you're going for a walk, whatever. Right now, what are your instincts telling you regarding how you spend your time? Are your instincts telling you you need to pull back a little bit? Are they telling you you need to slow down just a bit or erase something that you're currently doing that's making you exhausted? Maybe some of you are kind of bored in your home and you don't have a lot to do, though I think that's few and far between. And maybe you need to add things to your day. But my guess is that the overwhelming majority of parents listening to my voice right now have their instincts saying, slow down a little. So I want to tell you this. Listen to those inner voices. They're arising in you because you need something that you're resisting. You need something that you're resisting giving yourself. You really want to deprive yourself and your children or your children of the common sense that your instincts are telling you to do. So let me end with this one question. What keeps you from not listening to your gut? Please listen to it. Parents, I want to invite you to listen to a wonderful conversation I had with Nichole Nordeman.
Well, Nichole, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to talk with you about your new book, Slow Down.
Thank you for having me, Meg. I'm so happy to be with you.
You know, most people know you. I'm speaking with Nichole Nordeman as a successful recording artist. But what many people may not know is that you're a mother of two, and you just wrote this wonderful new book, which is so much fun to read. Slow Down, Embracing the Everyday Moments of Motherhood. You know, clearly you are a woman who's well qualified to speak on this subject. Was there a moment in time in your life where you said, wait a minute, something needs to change here?
You know, I don't know if there was a moment. I think it was a series of moments. The song that I wrote, Slow Down, came out of kind of an accidental moment. I was writing a song for my son's 5th grade graduation. And I didn't even mean to write it. I was going to sing something else, and I made the mistake of just sitting down one night with photo albums and old videos and just sort of going through his little life, the first words and the first steps and all the firsts. And just hit me so hard, like, I'm launching a kid into middle school. And before I know it, I know high school's coming. And then I just felt like he was slipping through my fingers in that moment. So the song Slow Down, of course, is just sort of the universal cry of all parents. Like, how can I freeze time here for a second? But of course we can't. Like, that's the realization, is we can't slow them down. We can't stop the calendar. So the next best thing is to slow ourselves down, which I think that wasn't like a major aha moment, but more like a gradual realization, like, how can I make the most of every fleeting moment, even the messy ones, so that I can slow my own life down enough to love the little time that I have with these guys.
You know, that's a tremendous gift to have that epiphany early in life, because I think a lot of mothers and fathers get it either when their kids are teenagers or when their kids are in their 20s. Particularly fathers will say, I dropped my son or daughter off at college and something hit me like a lead hammer over my head. I bawled on the way home and I realized what happened. And so I think, for mothers tend to get that a little bit sooner, but usually not as early as you did. So that was a huge gift from God to say to you, Nichole, I don't want you to miss this here. You were at a point when you slowed down, when you were doing extremely well in your career. Were you frightened to sort of pull back from your work commitments?
I wasn't frightened. I was exhausted. I had been on the road and traveling and recording and performing for a long time. And I had a 2-year-old. And I just thought, I'm so exhausted from feeling like I'm not doing a good job fully as a mom or fully as an artist. Like, my heart just felt like it had a zipper down the middle, and I couldn't be present in both worlds the way I wanted to. And my marriage was really on life support, and I just thought, I had the luxury and the blessing of being able to say I'm stepping out of my job for a decade and trust that I would still have creative opportunities, to write for other people, which I did while I was at home. But I wasn't able to do both. And I know a lot of women who do both beautifully. My peers take nannies on tour buses and they homeschool, and it's a whole family production on the road, but that just was not my path. And so I just had to, almost out of a crisis place, kind of just hit the brakes and say, nope, I'm done. I'm done with this. And if I return to it, great. And if not, I'm never going to get these moments back with my kids.
How wise. I mean, you were given wisdom beyond your years. But, it's hard. I can really feel for you. I do a lot of speaking and I do a lot of traveling and I work very, very hard. And people on the outside look and go, what a glamorous life. You're meeting these people, you're financially successful, you've got this great career, whatever. But they don't realize that there's a huge price to be paid for that. And at some point, every single one of us has to say, is the price worth it? Not just the price for our own selves emotionally and physically, because it's grueling. It's nothing short of grueling. But is the price that my children are paying in being robbed of time with me worth it? And I think that if you're working outside the home mom or you're an at-home dad and working outside the home, because, there's some dads who are the primary caregivers, every primary caregiver has to say, okay, how much of my child am I willing to sacrifice so that I can earn more money, have this career, whatever? And I think that that's a much bigger struggle for us than we really want to admit, isn't it?
It is. And I think we have to accept that that's a very fluid conversation that you have with yourself your whole life. Like, finding balance this month is awesome. Next month, I might need to reevaluate and reprioritize. And, it's just a constant examining it and looking at, like you said, the cost, weighing the pros and cons, weighing the emotional health of the decision. But for me, that's like, oh man, I traveled way too much this season. I'm not doing that next season. Just having enough self-compassion to say, okay, didn't get that right. I'm going to reboot here and make some adjustments and just it's just a constant challenge to try to find that balance of work and parenting. I think it's ongoing. It
is ongoing. And I think what is important, a couple of things. There are many things that don't help us, that are really working against us. And I think the mantra of professional women out there, particularly the ones who are in the limelight a lot, is go, go, go for it. You've got to go for it. You deserve this. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself to have this, 70, 80 hour a week career and do all these things and have 6 children and you can have it all. Well, the truth is you can't.
You can't.
Not at one moment in time.
That's right.
And the second thing is, we should feel the freedom to choose. And many women feel they don't have the freedom to choose because if they give up a career or if they give up a big paycheck, that they are less than a good woman. And that's so twisted. It's so twisted. As if, being with our children and being present and available for our children is not the good and right thing to do, because we talk in our culture a lot about how important it is to be present in the moment, to be present with our spouses, present with our friends. But to be present for our children means literally you have to be there.
Physically present.
You can't be at the other end of a Skype call. That's okay once in a while. But I think that one thing I would like for you to weigh in on is this idea that just because you didn't tour last year or you're not now at this moment in time when your children are young, doesn't mean that your career is over and done, does it?
Absolutely not. I have a friend who says that life will never hand you an eviction notice without inviting you into something more beautiful.
Yes.
And so I try to bear that in mind. I think that's really true of my life, that when I reach a point where I say, okay, I am choosing to step out of this professional part of my job, whether it's traveling next month or I'm not going to participate in that collaborative project with those other artists that I really wish I could be a part of, but I know what the time it's going to take away from my family. Whatever you're choosing eviction from, you are choosing something else more beautiful. Like you're saying yes. Your yes is going to be louder than your no to the other thing. So, but you're right that does come with very real life implications. Like maybe we're not going to live in this nice house. Maybe we're not going to have this kind of a Christmas. Maybe these are choices that we make to live a certain way. And when we say no to professional things, we are saying yes to a simpler life.
And that's good. It may be seen as, oh, you don't respect yourself enough. No, to me, it's It's a badge of honor. And I am one who advocates on behalf of children. Mm-hmm. I try to tell parents the things their kids can't say to them. And every child wants to say to mom and dad, please spend more time with me.
Yeah, that's right.
Every child doesn't want to say, Mom, I really want my own room, or I'd like a bigger bedroom, or I'd like a pool in the backyard, or I want you to drive a Mercedes, not a Toyota. Kids don't think that way. They just want their mom there or their dad there. And so that's very, very important. So I did want to encourage, I wanted to have our listeners hear you say that, we have time for career, and the pinnacle of your career may not come in your 30s. It may come in your 50s.
Yeah.
When your kids are grown and gone, and that's good. So don't feel, young moms, that you need to squeeze everything in all in this year or in the next 2 years. As one great pastor told me once, I was all worked up about, I was doing my residency. I was working very hard. I wanted to do this, but I had kids at home. And I said, how am I going to do it all? And he looked at me and he said something invaluable. He said, you will die right on time. And I thought, that is the oddest thing anybody's ever said to me. What he meant was this. If doing 5 things is what you're meant to do in your lifetime, God will give you the years to get those 5 things done. You're not going to die before they're all 5 done. So don't worry about doing them right now.
Wow.
Maybe the 4th and the 5th one are meant to do when you're 60. Now, maybe I didn't want to hear that. I want to hear it. I want to do it when I'm 35. But we need to take a big, deep breath and go, balance isn't always doing 15 things in one day part way. It may be doing 15 things over a 30-year period consecutively. You and I were talking before we started our interview about this idea that you write so beautifully in your book, Slow Down, about, is that the most celebrated mothers, you say, are the most exhausted mothers. It's true. Being one of these women who's so tired you just can't fall asleep at night because you've done all of these things and you've earned this money and your kids are beautifully dressed and you cook everything from organic products.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we wear this badge of exhaustion as an honor? Where'd this come from?
I think it's been since the beginning of time. I think that women are taught that exhaustion equals selflessness. And I think about my own mom, absolutely true. I think about her mom, absolutely true. We are teaching our daughters what we've learned, which is give away all of yourself, and in some sort of martyred way, people will laud you and sing your praises for being such a servant of the world and your family and your church. And I just don't think that really if we're really living into our true calling as parents, then we have to model self-care for our kids. We have to let our kids see us as humans and not just as a role in their life, or as an ATM machine, or as a short order cook or whatever. Like, we have to let them see my mom is a person with physical needs and emotional needs and spiritual needs, and to let our daughters watch us take care of ourselves is, I think, the only way that we kind of stop that vicious cycle of sort of performance-based parenting.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you're right about that, because I had always known it, but when I saw it in black and white print, I go, you're right. I mean, that's exactly right, because I think that we take pride in the fact that we're exhausting ourselves by making our homes a certain way. I noticed, I was talking with some mothers who get together with other mothers of young children, and she said, every time I get together with them, I walk away feeling so horrible about myself because they get upset. One will get upset if the food has gluten in it. Another will get upset if I don't have, the right toys out, or the toys are inappropriate, or I have a Barbie. My 4-year-old's walking around with a Barbie and she doesn't like Barbies. And I thought, what are we doing to ourselves?
What are we doing?
Our expectations of how mothers are to perform and be is really out of whack. And particularly when it comes to emptying ourselves out, exhausting, depleting ourselves for our children. It also gives our children a weird sense of self, which is, when I walk in the house, mommy's job is to stop whatever she's doing and make sure I'm okay. And I think our culture is really feeding into this with don't you dare hurt anybody's feelings. Don't say the wrong thing. It's illegal to say the wrong thing. And the truth of the matter is that's not who we are. We are to present to our kids, particularly our daughters, because I'm old enough to have adult daughters who are now, for good or ill, imitating some of my behavior. And, you know, it's very sobering. But to teach them, you know, my job as your mom is to love you and to care for you and to discipline you and to make sure your life is good. But there are also things that I need to do for me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to allow you to watch. So I won't be here over the next hour because Mommy needs to go to the gym because I'm having a tough day. I got to work it out. Now, you don't have to go into detail about your needs. Have you found that you've gotten better with your kids about saying, Mommy needs a break, I'm going to go do this now?
It's really hard. It doesn't come naturally to me because my instinct is to serve. And it's a discipline for me to say, no, I can't. And I still love you, but I have to do this instead, or I'm choosing to do this instead. I have a dear friend named Jen Hatmaker who just wrote the most wonderful book called Of Mess and Moxie. And she tells a story in it, which just, I howled when I read it because it's so true. She's a full-time author and speaker. Like, she works from home when she's not on the road, but she's a busy lady. And her fifth grader asked if she was coming on the field trip that week. And she's been on plenty of field trips, of course, but she couldn't come on this particular field trip because she just had a full plate of interviews and whatever else she had going on at home. And so she got the pouting treatment from her daughter, and then finally came around and she said, "It's okay, Mom. It's okay that you can't come. I forgive you."
Right.
You know, and Jen was like,
Forgive me.
Yeah. And she told this story in a very funny way. It wasn't a harsh moment with her daughter, but it was kind of like, no, ma'am, I don't need your forgiveness. This is my job. I'll come to the field trips I can come to, but I don't need to feel like, well, thank you for the forgiveness and mercy that I can't be at every single field trip. So I thought that was a great illustration of the posture that we have with our kids. It's so apologetic sometimes, like, oh, I'm sorry I can't make it. I'm sorry I'm the worst mom.
But how lovely that Jen had her wits about her to say, excuse me? I don't know your apology. Because the truth is, Nichole, a lot of mothers would have gone, oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, well,
I know.
Change my schedule. No.
Let me shuffle some things around and see if I can make it.
To remind ourselves as mothers that we were here first before our kids. You know, and so to a large degree, the kids have to fit into the family structure. The family structure doesn't fit around the kids.
Parents, I hope you're enjoying my conversation with Nichole Nordeman. We need to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Is screen time replacing eye contact in your household? Are your children getting enough of your full attention? Do you know what your child's doing online? Off the Grid is not only an activity for family game night, it's a necessity for family game night. Use Off the Grid to talk about what your values are in our digitally enhanced environment. Painlessly probe how your kids are handling electronic and social media. Talk about boundaries and online safety. Answer some fun questions to keep it just that, fun. Playing Off the Grid is a simple 3-step process. Silence your phones and put them in a box. Take out the question cards. Go off the grid and take turns asking each other questions. Go to offthegridbox.com and enter promo code MEG to receive a 20% discount through November 30th, 2017. That's offthegridbox.com and enter promo code MEG for a 20% discount. Now that it's back to school season, it feels like there's a million new things to do every day. And getting a balanced, healthy, kid-friendly dinner on the table every night is easier said than done. Now you can cook delicious, nutritionist-approved recipes the whole family will love with the new family menu from SUNBASKET. SUNBASKET is a meal kit delivery service that sends organic and sustainable ingredients right to your door. They also offer paleo, lean and clean, gluten-free, and vegetarian options. Each week, SUNBASKET features a recipe co-created with Chef Tyler Florence of the Food Network. And friends, I want to tell you, I use SUNBASKET and love it. I like to cook good food, and SUNBASKET delivers fresh, ready-to-cook food right to my door, so there's no grocery shopping. Each SUNBASKET recipe comes with pre-measured ingredients and is ready in around 30 minutes. It's easy prep and easy cleanup, perfect for busy school nights. Plus, you get to skip the grocery store. One less thing to worry about. Go to sunbasket.com/Meg today and get $35 off your first order. That's sunbasket.com/Meg for $35 off. sunbasket.com/Meg. Now, we were just talking about the problem of being gone too much and not attending to our kids. And now we're talking about the problem of over-attending to our kids or making our kids feel like they're the little idols that sit in the home and everyone bows down to them. Clearly, there's that balance there. But I really do think we tip it out of balance in many different ways. So I love that you write about that. And it remind me, I wanted to ask you about Jen Hatmaker a little bit later on and your work with her, which is very, very cool. There's so many nuggets of wisdom in your book. You also talk about that one of the things that really takes mothers and their kids down is how we micromanage everything. You say we control and shape and orchestrate everything until a moment with our kids has become a manipulation. We feel we're helping our kids, but in fact, we're really manipulating them. Can you expound on that a little?
Well, I think it's not necessarily new. I think women have been doing this for generations, but it's especially hard now because of social media and because I remember noticing it most when the whole scrapbooking thing started many years ago.
Yes.
And suddenly, that was not something that I got into just because I'm not talented in that way, crafty wise, but I would look at my friends' scrapbooks of their children and they were just these gorgeous works of art, like really just wonderful and fun. But each page represents like the very best of that moment, like the best picture and the funniest moment and the sweetest caption. And I just thought, and so fast forward years later and here we are on Instagram, same situation, like an online scrapbook basically, where we're just sending out just the most polished version of our families and our children. And we edit and we manipulate and we filter until it is just perfect. And then we send this out into the world like, look what I'm doing today in my kitchen. And it's just so unfair to our kids. It's so unfair to ourselves and to our psyches for us to create this expectation that every moment is manipulated and it's not really a real moment. It's just, I don't post real pictures of my crow's feet online. Who does that? Like, why do I have an Instagram filter if I'm doing that?
One of the most beautiful photos I ever saw was many years ago. Oprah had put in her magazine a before and after shot of herself being made over for the cover because she's on the cover of every one of her magazines.
Yeah.
And honestly, the courage for her to put on a before shot, because her whole point was, look, friends, it takes a lot of money and time and energy to make me look this good. Here's what I really look like. And I thought, good for you. If we could all have the courage to live more like that, because you're absolutely right. This manipulation, and we pull our kids right into it too, where we say, I'm going to use you to have my friends think that I'm a great mom. So if you're a prop. You're a prop in my play. And it's really, but here's the thing, Nichole, as a pediatrician, I see what kids see and they get it. Kids get it and it creeps them out. And all the parents, going to all the soccer games and standing and cheering and this and that and hovering, and it makes kids feel used. And I've actually heard kids say, I can't quit ballet because if I quit ballet, I won't see my dad very much because the only time he engages me is when I'm performing.
Oh my goodness.
And my heart sinks. And the same is true with mothers, because I think that our kids have become in many ways something that as they do well and look good, they make us look like really great parents, and that's really what Instagram is all about. And I'd love for somebody to have the courage to start being real on Instagram and saying, this is what I really think.
Here it is. Yeah. My daughter the other day was the star student. Every kid is on a different week, and they bring in their poster with they fill in their favorite this, favorite that, and they have to put a couple pictures of their family and themselves. And so I asked Pepper, do you want me to take a picture of you on the back porch so we can print it out and put it on your star student poster? And she said, sure. So she ran upstairs and changed. Took a really long time to change, really was very committed to finding the right accessories and the right bow in her hair and the right everything. So we went outside to take the picture, and she made me take maybe 20 pictures. And after every picture I took of her, she would say, "Okay, let me see that one. Nope, that's not it. Let me try a different pose." And I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder where she learned that behavior. Like, it's just a picture for your poster. Like, let's take it and be done. It's who you are. You're wonderful and perfect and adorable. And let's not go through 20 poses, but this is learned behavior and we are responsible.
Exactly. And to take it a little bit further, teenage girls feel more self-esteem. They feel better about themselves the more likes they get. But they can do anything to get likes. And a lot of what they do to get likes is not very pretty, and it's not very healthy, and it's very sordid, and it's very twisted. If you wouldn't mind, I'd love to talk about Pepper. I need to meet Pepper.
Yeah.
Because you write a lot about Pepper that just had me roaring. Pepper's very creative, and she likes to cook. And you write about her cooking episodes in your book. Would you describe what Pepper has taught you about enjoying and embracing life and learning to relax as a mom by experimenting in the kitchen?
You know, I love to cook, and I've always loved being in the kitchen. My mom's a wonderful cook, and so is her mom. And so I just, the kitchen has always felt like just a wonderful central part of every home I've been in. It's where everybody gathers, and it's where conversations happen. And I've always wanted that to be true of my home when I'm a parent too. I want my kids to always just have fun in the kitchen. But Pepper takes it to such extremes, and she loves to experiment. Like, that is her thing. She comes in the door from school, she drops her backpack, and almost immediately marches into the kitchen and starts just pulling ingredients out of the pantry and out of the fridge. And at first I thought, oh, I love this. She's really interested in cooking. So I got my little recipe box out, and I found a couple cookbooks that had kid-friendly recipes where she could learn to measure, and she could learn to do all the appropriate stuff, the age-appropriate stuff. And she had no interest. She does not do recipes. She has no interest in measuring anything. She just likes to wing it. The ingredients that go in her dishes are anything from Tabasco to cat food to cinnamon and ranch dressing. And she never intends for you to eat it, thank God. But she just wants to, oh, that makes a pretty color. I think I'll sprinkle some more, I don't even know what. Here's some more grape jelly. That'll make it more gloopy or whatever. And by the end of it, like, my kitchen is, a war zone.
A mess.
It's a disaster. But she has learned how to help with the dishes. Like, she definitely is cleaning up after herself. But I just have to stand back and think of it like, if she were in a studio painting, I would not interrupt and say, those colors don't match, or that line's not straight. I would say, that is amazing and beautiful. And that's how I'm treating my kitchen, like a giant easel. Yeah. Just get in there and do your thing, and we can all ooh and ah at it and throw it away later.
I just love it, because hearing you talk about her and hearing your response to her as she's doing these creations in the kitchen is so lovely, because what you can teach her through that is the joy is in the experience and the doing, not in the fact that nothing turns out, but just throw your hands in there, get them dirty.
That's right.
And let's get, I just have to take 2 seconds. You printed a recipe of hers in your book. It's called The Recipe for Barf. It has ketchup, mustard, Worcestershire sauce, the juice of a lemon, a dollop of sour cream, ranch dressing, a tablespoon of maple syrup, chocolate chips, cat food, a splash of Dr. Pepper, pickle juice, food coloring, paprika, fill in any spice, and salt and pepper. Stir the above ingredients in a large bowl and throw away. I love it. I love it, because that's how you enjoy life with your kids. Sometimes we just need to let our kids lead, don't we?
Yes, yeah. And that's been true of her personality in every area. She treats fashion the same way. Like, I just stopped a long time ago even trying to correct any part of her outfit before she walks out the door, because it's just an extension of who she is on the inside. Like, she treats her closet the way she treats my kitchen, and anything goes and none of it matches, and it's all part of how wonderfully unique she is. But it's hard. It is hard for me.
It is. I'm sure it's very hard for you, because I'm sure there are mothers who will look and go, oh my gosh, can you imagine letting your child go to school in that? And you go, yep, my child's great. And I think that we need to
Yeah.
stop making excuses for things that don't need excuses and teach our kids it's really good to just jump in and try and do, and who cares about the end result? It's the process and the learning,
right.
and therein is the joy. Nichole, this has been so much fun.
For me
I mean,
too.
you are just a dear, dear woman and a wonderful mom, and Pepper is a very lucky girl to have you as a mom. I really do think you need to post some pictures on Instagram of the things that she creates.
I did post one last week that involved the main ingredient was some leaves that were floating in our pool. So people can go find that particular salad on my Instagram page.
I love it. I got to find out where that girl's going to be in 15 years, you know?
I know.
Before I let you go, I want to talk about something that's really, really exciting. You were talking about your friend Jen Hatmaker, who is an amazing woman.
Yes.
Can you tell our listeners what you're going to be doing with Jen?
We are hitting the road this fall. Toward the end of October is when our first tour date starts. But together we are going out on the Moxie Matters tour. She has a new book called Of Mess and Moxie, and my new album is called Every Mile Mattered. So it's going to be so fun. It's kind of like the No Frills tour. It's like Jen with a microphone and me behind a piano, and we're just going to share stories and share parts of our lives, and just really wanting to gather women together who, like we talked about, just need permission to be real and vulnerable and to find strength in doing that with other women who need a night of laughter and honesty and just sort of real talk about life. So we are thrilled to be together, and we're thrilled to bring that to many cities this fall, and then we're talking about adding some next spring. So you can find tickets at moxiematterstour.com. That's where tickets, and a lot of shows are sold out. So
Awesome.
If you're anywhere near us, come find us quickly.
Awesome. Well, I want to be at one of those shows. I just can't wait. I'm so excited for you because I think that your message your music is amazing. Our audience needs to know you've won 9 GMA Dove Awards, including 2 awards for Female Vocalist of the Year, Songwriter of the Year. You wrote a lyric video called Slow Down that had over 14 million views in 5 days, which is amazing. So clearly you're hitting a nerve in the country, and I'm so excited because it's one that's so fresh. It's old, but it's fresh, and it's what women need to hear. Life is good.
Yeah.
Life is fun. Stop taking yourself so seriously.
Yes.
Slow down and enjoy making a batch of barf with your child.
I'm putting that on making a T-shirt with that slogan on it.
You have to print that recipe somewhere. Pepper's recipe for barf. It is just so delightful, and you are delightful. God bless you, Nichole. How can people find out more about your tour? How can they find out more about you and get a copy of Slow Down?
So Slow Down is sold everywhere that books are, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, wherever you get your books. My music is available on iTunes. They can find me anywhere on social media. All of my handles are at Nichole Nordeman. And then our tour is moxiematterstour.com.
moxiematterstour.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Meg. This has been delightful.
Oh, it has. It has. All right, parents, let's get social. I want to hear from you, and I want to interact with you. You can connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Meg Meeker MD. Or if you have a question, please send it to askmeg@megmeekermd.com. Today I have a question from Kenneth, who writes, Dear Dr. Meg, my wife and I have one child, a 10-year-old son. He is overall a very compliant child, intelligent, kind to others, generally helpful around the house. Over the past few years, he's gotten into playing video games, and now it nearly consumes all of his free time. My wife and I both struggle with being overweight, and unfortunately, he's following in our footsteps. The video gaming has also contributed, I think, to a steady incline in his weight and some antisocial behavior when we're out in public or visiting with friends and family. Additionally, he occasionally becomes angry while playing the game if something doesn't go his way. He's even expressed his feelings with several violent outbursts saying, I hate my life, or I'm stupid, and throwing a controller or hitting myself or a wall. We're concerned but not sure the best approach to take. How can we gradually begin to cut back or limit his gaming time? And what suggestions do you have to deal with visible signs of anger? Kenneth, I'm so glad you asked me this question because I see kids, particularly boys, like your son, fairly routinely. First of all,
The fact that your son is getting very agitated while he's watching these games and he's increasing his amount of time shows me that he is developing, or maybe has already developed, an addiction to the games. And he's feeling very out of control. So what he needs, because he can't control this addiction or he can't control this powerful draw to the games, you need to take charge. Now, you need to take charge of how much time and when he is on these video games. You can do it one of two ways. You can either stop him cold turkey and say no video games for a month. And I guarantee you, if you do that, you're going to have a fight on your hands. It's going to be war for about 3 days, but then he'll get over it. Or you can say to him, and this is going to feel like war too, but he has to have it done because, again, this is an addiction. You say, okay, son, you have 1 hour a day. And when you play, you have to have your homework done. You got to have your chores done. You get 1 hour. And when the games begin, I'm going to set a timer. And when the timer goes off, games are off. End of story. Now, no matter how you do it, whether you go cold turkey or whether you go down to an hour a day, and then when you're down to an hour a day, you can dial it back to 45 minutes and then 30 minutes. But he may end up having to have no video games at all. You're going to have a fight on your hands. It's okay. You can deal with it. The fight isn't because you're being mean. The fight is because he has an addiction going on. Second, your son is crying out for help. When a child expresses feelings of self-contempt, like, I hate myself, or my life is horrible, he feels out of control. He doesn't like what is happening to him. He doesn't like that the games have a power over him. He doesn't like that he's gaining weight. He feels out of control. So here are the best ways to help your son. First of all, I strongly encourage you need to take charge of the food in the home. Whoever is the cook in the home, whether it's you or mom, you need to get your son on a routine diet. Now, I don't like kids to diet. So when I say diet, I mean he gets 1 serving of everything. 1 serving of dinner, not 2. 1 serving of a small dessert, not 2. So you need to take control of all of the food in your house. Increase the vegetables, increase the fruits. You know that. 2, you got to get your son somehow to a gym or into some exercise program. Ask him what he likes to do. If he wants to go to a gym and get on a treadmill or, work out somehow, if he wants to go swimming, if he wants to join a soccer team, whatever, get him in it. Realize this at the beginning. You may need to go with him and be side by side on a machine and just start off going 15, 20 minutes a day or every other day and gradually build up. But it's very important. He's going to give you pushback. He's not going to want to do it, but you just say, you really don't have a choice. This is something you need to do. Understand that your son is asking you, crying out to you for help. Please help me get my life under control, Dad. I don't feel good about my life. I don't like that games have taken over. I don't like that food has taken over. I don't like that I feel so odd. The best thing you can do for your son is take charge, impose a sense of control with his weight and his gaming, and I promise you, in just a matter of a couple of months, you're going to have a new child on your hands. Parents, I love answering your questions, so please keep sending them in to me. Remember, you can email all of your questions to me at askmeg@megmeekermd.com. I want to thank my guest, Nichole Nordeman. What a wonderfully delightful woman she is. And I highly recommend that you get a copy of her brand new book, Slow Down, Embracing the Everyday Moments of Motherhood. And also, don't miss her beautiful new album, Every Mile Mattered. Both are going to really encourage you. So now let's recap my points to ponder. 1, slow down. 2, take off that badge of exhaustion. 3, be courageous enough to live differently from your peers. And 4, please trust your instincts. So until next time, parents, remember, great kids are raised, not born.
Hey, this is Bobby, producer of Meg Meeker's Parenting Great Kids podcast. We hope you've enjoyed listening to episode 40, Learning to Slow Down. And thanks to you, Dr. Meg's Parenting Revolution has grown to over 1 million downloads. You can like Dr. Meeker on Facebook and follow her on Twitter and Instagram @MegMeekerMD. Just as a reminder, go to megmeekermd.com and sign up for her newsletter for giveaway opportunities and updates. And don't forget to share the podcast, write us a review, and click subscribe so you won't miss an episode.